Okay. All right, this is the main interview segment of today's episode of the New Dawn, and we'll be talking about something that will shape our economy, talk about how we want to look at fiscal administration, and talk about how to move forward from all the policies that governs our tax administration. Today, we have a guest who will be talking about that, and he is joining us via Zoom. He's Mr. ORJI, Philip ORJI, tax analyst, and we are talking about reshaping Nigeria's fiscal administration. I will not be doing the program alone. Simi Atabaru is here.
Thank you so much for joining us on the program. And of course, we have our guest here this morning to discuss this critical issue. Maybe we'd start with the guest with the question, very critical one. Mr. ORJI, Philip, are you with us?
All right, Mr. ORJI, we are with you. Are you with us? Okay, let's start. All right, let's start about what we have on our table, and we'll delve into it because we have limited time to treat this. How can Nigeria improve on tax compliance? Let's start from your sector. Tax compliance and broaden its tax base. Mr. ORJI.
All right, I think the network is one aspect that is going to probably affect the presentation this morning, but notwithstanding, we can look at this critically. When they talk about reshaping Nigeria's fiscal administration, they talk about the management of the country's public finances, and of course talking about the revenue generation, government spending, and debt management. You have different reports from different quarters. How much is Nigeria owing as at today? The word, when you talk about external debts and of course domestic debts, is about 121 trillion naira.
Are you saying that? Okay, I'm not yet.
Definitely came down from 96, 97, I guess. 97 trillion naira as of 2019. That's the fourth quarter of 2023.
Just do like say, just stand for me. Don't need to see it yourself.
Mr. ORJI Phillips, are you with us now?
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much for joining. My colleague asked you a critical question, and I think maybe she
we said we should start from your sector, that is the tax sector. I want to know how Nigeria can improve tax compliance and accrue more income from tax revenue.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Well, I'm a tax analyst.
No.
I think you are hearing me.
Yeah,
yes, we can
go
hear
ahead,
you.
please.
I'm a tax analyst, and I want to dwell on what section of tax I'm dealing with.
Okay.
Nigeria has no accountability in taxation. Taxation requires accountability and transparency before you talk about surviving a nation's revenue drive. So for now, what we have is what will look like tax. What the FIRS is operating is a task force, not tax administration.
Okay.
Nigerians are not carried along. The taxpayers concerned, or they are feeling their perception, nobody is concerned about it. That is what I've been asking for in the National Assembly for the past 7 years. So until we get that thing done, so that the collector will be there, and the person that will work like a legislative watchdog, just like that. Other countries in the world, they have tax collectors in the United States, is Internal Revenue Service, and they have Inspector General of Taxation of TITA of the United States. So this is the argument we have been battling with for 7 years. So I believe this morning, let us dwell on what will look like 6,000 Nigerians, or why we are not making it in taxation. Not necessarily that people are not paying. They're already paying too much. So what we are trying to say, let the public, the owners of that money, be part of the accounting, which is, you'll be reporting that particular agency I'm asking for, will be reporting to the National Assembly. That's what I'm asking for. The Independent Revenue Inspectorate Agency of Nigeria that will collect all the data paid to the Federal Inland Revenue, to go and so that the oversight of the legislative side of government will be easier. There's no way somebody will oversight what you don't have information about. the Legislative Congressional Committee on Finance don't know, can never know what's happening in the Federal Revenue because the information they will get is whatever the Federal Revenue wish to give them. So the argument is very clear. Nigerians are not carried along, and they are already being overtaxed. They are saying they are not paying their taxes. It's not true. We are paying. While we move forward, I will tell you one of the case studies that will tell you that we're already paying too much, but the account is not there. I think I answered that question.
Talking about the account, you know, Nigerians, I like the fact that you also mentioned the perception out there. Nigerians really believe that they are paying too much. And the challenge for you that is a tax expert is largely that the informal sector, how will Nigeria you know, get to that point where they will be able to get the informal sector, you know, really, you know, by way of expanding the tax nets now? How do we get into the informal sector better to capture where we need to be and, of course, who we need to capture?
Okay, thank you. Everything we see boil down to what you do. The taxpayer's perception is very pivotal in taxation business. You are dealing with somebody, he is the major stakeholder, the payer is the major stakeholder. Some of this expansion of getting maybe property tax that nobody is going there, we have more than enough resources to generate local taxation alone, not international, over 50 trillion naira a year. Because if you look at the number of houses celebrated building, not even common houses, I mean, elaborated and expensive homes in Lagos alone, places in all the 36 state capitals in the Federation and the federal capital, you will know that we have more than enough to talk about borrowing what we have. And again, the another thing that I'm trying to explain to us this morning, because this tax education and tax representation is still needed to go to our local language like Hausa, Igbo, and the local English. Nigerians are paying tax. What we don't have is that whatever they are generating, let somebody not get offended by my telling him that we are here to have account of what we are generating. So how will somebody trust you, or even be have a voluntary compliance or paying tax when you knew that even the federal revenue operators maybe ask you to pay a particular amount for a particular change, because people say they are collecting bribe more than what goes to government purse. Whether it is true or not, let there be tax inspector that will stand as the mediator between the payer and the collector, because most of the tax fraud we are seeing in the whole world, not just Nigeria, is committed by the tax collector, not the payer. The issue here is the tax collectors that have nobody to counter whatever they are presenting to us. It's a threat to democracy. It's a threat to humanity. It's a threat to security. That's my argument for 7 years, and I will stand there until Nigerians get to tell them to stop all this going from one point to another, because the National Assembly is to be blamed. The bill have passed first and second reading in the Ninth Assembly. This time around, it has passed the first and second reading in the rep, sponsored by 8 people together with the Deputy Speaker, Ben Carlo. Why would somebody be against Nigeria knowing what they are paying? Who is saying no to it? Why would federal revenue that we hired be behaving like emperor, that we have not said to our Commonwealth? That is what is holding Nigeria. Whatever you are talking about, until that is done, nobody will believe in the system. And the people need to believe before expecting what they are asking for. That's what I'm saying.
So are you saying, excuse me, are you saying precisely that is the problem of, you know, policy that is, you know, holding us to this level? You know, talking about the bill you talked about, you know, some would say that there are different policies on ground. Implementation has always been the challenge. If truly we get to hear and read in the news that the people that are actually evading taxes are largely the ones that are the big people in the society. So what do you have to say to that? And how can we get better?
Okay. You see, I will always tell you about the people collecting tax, which is federal revenue. The people that evade tax are the big players in Nigeria. They have a way to navigate. In the tax administration, there are a lot of things you would do as avoiding tax. That's a law. You don't even cut off on you. And we are yet to even have the mechanism to collect tax like cryptocurrency, which is the president presented in hunger meeting, he sent the first president to go and present him. He said that we don't have the mechanism to tax cryptocurrency. Can you people connect us to the world platform, or do we create it? Which is not true, because the Taiwan Edele committee that's handling it did not tell Mr. President there's something called OECD UNDP, tax inspectors without borders. How would you have that type of platform that will connect you to the world so that we will be able to make money from transfer pricing, base erosion, profit shifting, and so on and so forth, and maybe the international citizens, Nigerians who own companies overseas, there's a particular amount of money, which is about 70% on whatever a Nigerian man or any citizen is paying. His country of origin has 70% of his tax paid in overseas. And some Nigerians as rich as Dangote, we cannot access this money because I have no tax inspector. They don't share information with tax collectors. Domestic tax operators don't share information of OECD, UNCP, tax inspector without border. Tax inspector without border, they did not say tax inspector without border. It's tax inspector. The world have it. Everybody have it. Only Nigeria is playing with it as if we don't know who is our enemy. Our enemy is not a human being. It's a bad taxation system which is a threat to our life. We are paying with our blood. They say we don't have money. Let us be part of the reason why we don't have money. Until we have tax inspector that will be a watchdog to the legislative section of government, I don't see why somebody was talking about a late Tinubu feed in Nigeria. No king have ever feed his people. Until, let me tell you, we can make over $50 billion from international tax. Nigerians that is own company overseas that are rich at Dangote, they are plenty. And we have no access to that type of payment. And somebody is talking about local tax here. So if we cannot tax cryptocurrency, are you actually saying that we are taxing the digital economy? We can't tax them. So as far as we are not there, only tax inspector will connect you to that international community. When they say tax inspector without border, the mechanism to do it will be done through the OECD collaboration with the UN. You will see that this thing will be done, and all this money we are complaining about will flow in the foreign currency. And you will no longer need to go and borrow to come and cushion the effect of dollar rise. If we make $50 billion, is it not assuming close to the more than 60 trillion naira? How much are they even telling them to get? So somebody that is pressing us not to have the tax inspector may be enjoying the local small one we're collecting, while the real loss is there in overseeing international tax transactions. We are paying too much, I'm telling you. What we don't have is accountability until Nigerians get to tell them that we employ them, we vote them into power, let them give us economic freedom, not palliative. We don't need palliative. What we need economic freedom.
Mr. OG. Mr. OG, let's move away a little bit from tax and talk about other tools that can form the fiscal administration, a strong one at that in Nigeria. Let's talk about debt servicing in Nigeria. Do you think the management of our debt is one of the key elements that the government should look at when we want to reshape the fiscal administration of the nation?
Well, this is why I always tell people whenever I come to interview like this, I'll say, I don't want to go and what to divert my attention, because you know one thing. If you don't get tax working, whatever administration you want to do, maybe cutting costs, reducing number of agencies, fiscal policy, or maybe telling the local government not to collect tax, they say not to collect tax, let something happen that they will reduce the number of taxes we are paying. All these are fiscal policies that are streamlining to get things working and done well, or maybe pay our debts.
Okay, Mr. OG. Okay, Mr. OG has been talking to us about how to reshape the fiscal administration of Nigeria, and he has been speaking about tax payment and how Nigerians can come into the net to ensure that our tax payments are accurate and sustainable, because not only the formal sector only, he said the informal sector are paying, but the government should use the regular policy that are on ground legally backed to ensure that this tax collected are used judiciously. And we are talking about policies that will reshape, and debt management is one of it. it, he also spoke about debt management and moving away a little bit. It went back to tax, saying tax is the main thing, that the government's policy are there, legally backed, lawfully backed, and that Nigerians as a government should ensure that all these tools that we have on ground, all these policies should be implemented so that ordinary Nigerians can see what these monies collected from people, be it from the formal or informal sector, are used to what they are needed to be used for. And when they are used for, people see they will come in and pay what they are supposed to pay. And we want to look at what the disparity between states can, how it can affect this tax payment, because some people will say some tax that are paid in state A, for instance, is different from what the tax state B, citizens of state B are paying, and so it becomes a burdensome a venture for them to do if there is no regular or a straight-jacketed way of paying. That means the system is not working well, and they will tend to be tired paying. If you're paying on commodities, you're paying on your rent, you're paying some levies, you're paying some from everything you buy eventually, and it becomes worrisome to your pocket.
Then you look at what is coming in, from, you check the pocket and you see that you don't even have a sufficient money there to be able to pay all those taxes. I think that's the conversation at the national level. Mr. ORJI is back to give us a clear understanding of your question.
Okay, we were talking about the disparity between states. Now, for instance, if state A is paying, let me say, 10 naira as tax A's levy, and state B is saying, I'm collecting 20 naira for tax A, same tax, same commodity, and the disparity, some people says, is making some Nigerians worry about how they will pay. That is, the system of payment is not regular. Is that the case for you?
Come again, please.
All right, we want you to talk about the disparity in states paying, the Nigerians in different states paying tax. Do you think it is one of those discouragement that Nigerians face when they want to pay to the coffers of government?
Let me tell you. You see, all this is state paid, and state have a lot of invoices. Like you go to River State, you have more than 200 invoices paid in different formula as tax. Actually, it's not good. I agree. It's against the taxpayers, the public, the vulnerable. You pay for whatever you are doing, and the money actually sometimes is being operated by miscreants employed by the political gladiators. Are you understanding me?
Yeah.
So if people are settled, maybe go and collect this because they can pay. That tax is always a bad one because it's just for settling somebody. But let us dwell in what will get us working before you start to abolish it. If you don't get these things done well first, so that people will now believe in the tax system, you cannot be able to dislodge those ones in the state and local government level. I know that my friend Taiwo Edele is talking about miscreants collecting taxes in different formula in state and local government. Agreed, I understand. I'm an expert too. So what I'm against there is that don't do this job together with this reform now. Get the tax system working and let people believe in it. Let taxpayers of Nigeria know that the federal inland revenue is up and doing, because let me tell you, I speak Hausa language, I speak Igbo language as an Igbo man, I speak Pidgin English. I have seen more than 30 kings in this country. I have visited Hausa, so if I go to a meeting in any part of Hausa land, I don't speak English, I speak Hausa. So I have communicated to people, they don't understand that. In fact, I was so disappointed they are calling federal inland revenue thieves. It's not supposed to be like that. But because they knew that nobody was there to even attest to what they are telling us they are doing, no, the Nigerian people do not believe in the tax system first, sister. I want you to understand it this morning. Until we get tax inspector, that will make somebody to know that in our language, if there's somebody say, if you kill a certified, we are beating our back now and kill a certified.
Mr. OG,
And let me come
talking
again, please,
about
please.
a system that works, like the system you're trying to define, the one that Nigerians would believe in, and which will definitely give them the opportunity to get that desired result. There is, popular opinion that, the spending of government is also one thing that is so huge that the people would not really be interested in paying, because they say the little they are paying right now, they've not really seen how judiciously the government are actually making use of this particular money. So what can you say to that?
That is what I'm saying. Government only allow themselves for people to blame them. I will continue to say that the taxes that are paid did not get to government. To increase that every day will not solve our problem. Until taxes that are paid, the data is with us. The people that will give you the data of how much that was paid is a separate independent tax inspector.
Okay,
until we have it.
Thank you, Mr. ORJI. That's how far the time will permit us on this segment. We'll be going out of the segment to go into another segment on the main interview segment of the New Dawn of today. We'll see you after this break.
God bless you so much. Let us work for the life of Nigerians, because I said my message is Nigeria will not die. Concerning the government and Nigeria is very important. Nigerians are angry. Nigerians are angry and the government is angry.
All
so
right,
we can reconcile them.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
What's you call?
Sorry, what are we talking about?
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.